Most people believe freedom comes from having more options, more comfort, more security, more approval. Yet the more they gather, the heavier their life becomes, until even simple decisions feel exhausting. Long before this condition had a name, one man chose a different path and wrote down rules that stripped life to its bones. Miyamoto Musashi was not a philosopher who lived safely behind words. He was undefeated in over 60 duels, lived much of his life without a home, and died with almost nothing. In his final days, he wrote a short text called the Dokudo, the way of walking alone. It was not advice for success, but instruction for freedom through detachment. Chapter 1. The Weight of Holding On. In a modern city lived a man named Daniel, competent, disciplined, and quietly exhausted. He had built a life that looked stable from the outside, yet every possession carried invisible strings. Expectations from others, fear of loss, and the constant need to maintain what he had acquired kept his mind restless even in moments of rest. Daniel believed his anxiety came from pressure, but pressure was only the symptom. The cause was attachment. The same attachment Musashi warned against centuries earlier. To cling to comfort, reputation, or certainty is to live in constant defense of them. The mind never stands at ease when it must guard what it fears to lose. Chapter 2. Accept everything, just the way it is. The first rule of the Dokudo is not passive acceptance, but clear-eyed realism. Musashi understood that resisting reality wastes energy that could be used for action. When Daniel stopped arguing internally with events he could not control, something unexpected happened. His anger softened, not because he approved, but because he no longer needed to fight the inevitable. Acceptance did not make him weak. It made his decisions cleaner. When circumstances changed, he adjusted without resentment, like a swordsman shifting his stance rather than cursing the terrain. Chapter 3. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. Musashi rejected indulgence not out of moral purity, but out of discipline. Pleasure pursued for escape weakens attention and fragments the will. Daniel began noticing how often he reached for comfort not from need, but from avoidance. He removed small habits that dulled his awareness. Excess entertainment, constant stimulation, and idle consumption quietly fell away. In their absence, discomfort appeared, but so did clarity. Chapter 4. Do not depend on a partial feeling. Attachment often disguises itself as emotion. Approval, validation, and fleeting satisfaction feel convincing in the moment, but they are unstable foundations. Musashi warned against building a life upon what shifts. Daniel learned to pause before acting on impulse. He waited for decisions to settle, for emotions to pass, and for reason to return. Over time, his actions became fewer, but more deliberate. Chapter 5. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Ego creates fragility. When identity becomes rigid, every challenge feels personal. Musashi understood that humility was not self-denial, but self-placement. Daniel stopped rehearsing how he appeared to others. He redirected attention outward to the task in front of him, the environment around him, and the consequences of action. As his self-importance faded, so did much of his fear. Chapter 6. Detach from desire, your whole life long. This rule is often misunderstood. Detachment does not mean abandoning ambition, but releasing dependence on outcomes. Musashi fought fiercely, yet remained unattached to victory itself. Daniel continued his work with precision, but without desperation. Success and failure became information, not verdicts on his worth. His nervous system began to rest, even during effort. Chapter 7. Do not regret what you have done. Regret anchors the mind in the past and weakens present action. Musashi believed that once a decision is made with sincerity, it must be owned fully. Daniel practiced closing doors behind him. He reflected briefly, learned what he could, and moved forward without self-punishment. This discipline freed enormous mental space. Chapter 8. Never be jealous. Comparison is attachment disguised as observation. It binds identity to external hierarchy. Musashi warned that jealousy corrupts judgment and poisons resolve. Daniel reduced exposure to environments that fed comparison. He measured himself only against his previous discipline. The quieter his mind became, the steadier his progress grew. Chapter 9. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. Everything leaves. People, roles, phases, and identities pass through our lives. Musashi, who lived without permanent ties, understood impermanence as a teacher. When Daniel faced loss, he allowed grief without resistance. He did not cling to what had ended. In letting go fully, he discovered resilience instead of bitterness. Chapter 10. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. Musashi believed excess tools weaken skill. Mastery comes from depth, not accumulation. This applied not only to swords, but to life. Daniel simplified. Fewer commitments, fewer possessions, fewer distractions. What remained received full attention, and his competence quietly sharpened. Chapter 11. The Way of Walking Alone. By the final rule, Musashi makes his meaning clear. To walk alone is not isolation, but independence of mind. It is the refusal to let comfort, fear, or approval dictate one's path. Daniel did not withdraw from the world. He moved through it unburdened. His life became lighter, not easier, but steadier. In releasing attachment, he found a calm strength that required nothing to defend. The Dakota offers no promises of happiness. It offers something rarer, a way to stand firmly in a world that is constantly shifting, with hands empty, mind clear, and spirit unchained.